Reading from chapter 5, where we meet Princess Hetty. Claws of splay-foot sky devils, a snag-hearted murder of ravens, scratch about on the roof tiles and shout dark magic words that rip the veil of sleep. The world is a conundrum of pain, negotiable only by detachment, by systematic cultivation of the remote inner, the aerial self. It is she who is the raven, and her heart has descended upon the battlefield of the world, plucking juicy images, the soft eyes of dead strangers to gaze through, to see the world from other viewpoints. Then it ends. From light, sleek fluidity, she is decanted into the shape of herself, the mask she wears against boundlessness. Her body's eyes are closed. She lets herself surface slowly, a skill she never lost when she grew out of childhood. The dream mind and the waking mind overlap in unbroken sequence as she watches herself at the conclusion of her dream, when the raw hunger of her need is spun into a narrative and maybe an answer. This morning the production was lavish and her narrator told a tragic story. As she repeated it to herself to fix it in her waking mind, she started to evaluate it. Her father has died. True, she thought. The world is being poisoned. Yes, but that's nothing new. And her mother came back from the dead. She's still alive. To avenge, that would be appropriate. Her rape, I hope that's not true. In a radioactive desert, that's 2 mentions of poison. Then she could not hide any longer and came awake, wrapping her arms around herself, assaulted by the massive realness of things, the solidity of the world, the relentless tragedy of her family. Her violet eyes opened in grief. She rolled over. It's an ache of physical loneliness since Seward was killed. But now she was sure she knew something new. Later she would process the dream and unpack its vital core of insight. Today she would be a step nearer to finding out who was behind Seward's death, who it was who'd betrayed Wessex to the pure light. And that meant that she would be a step nearer to fulfilling her oath, to paying out vengeance. She gave herself a few minutes breathing deeply from her belly and training her mind. She visualised the next room, little Seward's bedroom, as if she'd gone in there herself. Susanna had taught her this exercise when she was only a few years older than the boy. She imagined the walls of the room in dim dawn light. She imagined him sleeping, curled up, and then stirring, sliding off his bed. Then with her physical ears she actually heard his little voice through the wall. He was cooing, quite tunefully. She snapped back into her body attention and thought, another musician, as she got up out of the big bed. She shrugged on a deep silk, blue gown, tied it round her waist, twisted her tousled blonde hair into a thick rope, and speared it in place with a gold comb in the shape of a coiled dragon, sapphires for eyes. She went into the boy's room and little Seward ran towards her. She hugged him in her strong arms. She enjoyed his warm, biscuity smell, and he enjoyed the cuddle for a few seconds, then started struggling, and she let him go. His eyes fierce as a snake's or his father's. Would the pain never go away? Every time she thought of her loss, it sucked the joy out of her life. But she had to go on living for the sake of Seward and for all the other people who would soon depend on her to be strong. She'd been sunk in mourning for over a year and a half now. She made a decision. At Beltane, at Avebury, I shall take a lover. It was full daylight now, and a guitar strummed lazily somewhere. As with many of the customs of the royal household, Grandad Edwin, Wessex's first monarch for over 1,000 years, had started it, decreeing that music be played from dawn on Law Tuesday till the end of Beltane week, with the continuous mutter of Vonnie speakers shut down. She picked up the tune and sang a few lines of Wharton's "Everyone in Wessex is a fiddler and a fighter." Singing was no hardship for Hetty, but balm to her troubled mind.